It's like life is a journey.
It
You know.
is. It is. Yeah, I think. Well, I have a question, and I'm gonna say the question, then the thought, and then you can answer the question.
Yeah.
But how do we become those people? Like, say, like, like your friend,
Mm-hmm.
because I think we all have known someone to go through something, but how do we step into that with them? And I'm asking that because it's like you experienced that, and I've experienced that, and you were that for me earlier this year, you know, and but I think it's hard to know how to become that, and I think what
That's
was
a good
helpful for
point.
me with when you helped me, I don't even remember when. I don't know if we were leaving midweek.
Yeah, we were sitting in the car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, but I don't know what happened where I was like, oh yeah, we should talk. Da da da. I think I had texted you. It was something,
And
or
then we
maybe you
spoke.
had texted me, and then I was
Oh
like, yeah, I'm
yes,
having a hard time or
yes,
something.
yes. I
Yeah,
think I think I either texted you or I saw you at
yeah,
midweek, and
yeah,
then we always do our little midweek talk, like
yeah.
talking afterwards.
But
And
we ended up in Fort Lauderdale. You remember that? We were like outside of
oh,
Publix.
because you were dropping me home, or you dropping me in my car.
Oh,
Yeah,
got you.
because
That's
I
what.
rode with someone. Yeah,
I see. Okay,
yeah,
cool. I was like, what's the story? But
yeah.
yeah, like I hadn't told people what was going on with me, and I I don't actually really understand who I am because like I am very emotional. Like I'm the most emotional out of like my friends,
Okay.
but here I'm known to be very logical, and I am like I am very logical. So whatever. Even with this situation, in my mind, I was calculating like I have no logical reason to be sad. So there's no point. There's nothing I can communicate to
Yeah,
anyone. You know,
yeah,
like I'm like, there's nothing I can say. I
yeah.
just feel this way. I was just crying in my bed last night and couldn't go. You know,
Yeah,
but there was a lot of words used to like affirm me and like help me to see that there is purpose of me being here.
yeah,
Yeah, but no one would have guessed that that's what I was going through,
yeah,
especially like if you spend time with me or you see me at church, like you would never
yeah. You
guess
can never
that.
tell. Yeah,
And so,
I,
especially not guess that I felt purposeless
yeah,
and didn't want to live, you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so,
You know what I would say, which is actually really sad, is that we are the masters of wearing masks. We
yeah.
really are. Like, and I'm saying we, like me and you, clearly, because I know, because like we could see each other out and about with other people, like, oh, we looking good, but we talk, we're like, girl, oh, okay, tell me more. You know,
Yeah.
I could have never been
Yeah.
able to tell.
Yeah.
But I think I'm even saying that meaning Christians in general.
Yeah.
Like just
Actually.
Christians in general, we wear masks.
Oh, yes.
We wear masks, you know? And in some cases,
But why? Like, why do you think that? Because I have a thought
because
of
we
why
have
I
an
think-
image to uphold.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, we have an image to uphold. And people, you know, wear masks for different reasons. Maybe you've sinned, you've done something you're ashamed of, whatever. But I think specifically with this topic, I think it goes back to what I was saying before. For me, because I'm trying to help people to know God, or
Yeah.
I'm trying to encourage the people that are down, like whatever,
Yeah.
like that are weak in their faith, like what does it look like if I'm over here struggling and depressed?
Yeah.
And
Gosh.
I'm trying, and even with people that I'm trying to help to know God, I'm trying to be an ambassador on behalf of Christ,
Yeah.
to persuade you by the script, like with the scriptures, to show you why you should follow God,
Yeah.
and why life with God is so great,
Yeah.
and brings
Dang.
you so much peace and so much joy.
Dang.
But I'm not really experiencing that at that moment. That's insane.
Dang.
So I think that's why we wear those
Yeah.
masks, because it's like, you know, it's just like
We want to be examples. Like
we want to be
wanna-
examples because we
yeah.
know it's bigger than us.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I think that's what kind of like pushes me to wearing that mask. Sad to say, it's like I'm like, it's not about me. It's not about me. I got to deny myself. It's not about me. It's not about me. But I think in that I'm being dishonest, and Christianity wasn't pretty beautiful in the scriptures. Like
Yeah.
people were going through it. Like people were being like persecuted, and I'm sure their mental was affected, but like it was a lot of their I think we see how they respond to those things, right? And that's, I think, what kind of drives me to like look differently, because I'm trying to like just be a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do what they did.
Yeah.
But sometimes by doing that, I'm ignoring what is really there, and I'm not being honest about it to certain people, right? Like, I think it's, you don't have to share that with everyone, but I think I'm not gonna. I mean, we know this. I think a lot of people look at Christians as like this perfect type people, but I think we mess up when we are not sharing where we're weak, because that's how we can really relate to people, and that's what will really draw people in, right? Like, because some people feel like they're not good enough to become Christians because they are dealing with these things, or but I think we have to be more honest and vulnerable, you know?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah, that's where I wear the mask sometimes, because you just kind of feel like, well, if I don't, then what? Like, you know, do I just mope? Like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, I was telling this this girl in our ministry on Sunday that I wrestle with that too. Just like how, and I want to get back to the question that I asked you too, but like it's like the older you get spiritually, and whatever, if you serve, if you have a role in church or anything like that, there's just expectations that come with it. And I think there's a version of perfection that people are expecting. And like, and I don't like that, because I'm not that, you know, and so, but people have gotten offended with me by my, like, I guess by my flaws in some ways. And I'm like, why? Like, and they're like, you know, you're supposed to be mature. And I'm like, doesn't mean I don't sin and have struggles. Right. Like, I don't know what to. Yeah. And I think even that idea that someone older or more mature or anything is supposed to be more spiritual or like this level of perfection is what puts people in these like boxes of deceit where it's like you're not transparent, you're not honest, you're not vulnerable. And I think that is dangerous. Like, again, I will always quote this because I love it, but Tyler Staton in his book Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools,
I had that book.
It's so good. He has a chapter about confession, and he says, you know, what does he say? I don't know if it's like the bigger your church gets or like the older people get in your church. He was saying like, you don't want to be a church without sin. You want to be a church without secrets. Love it. Because it's like sin won't go away. Like, but you still need to confess, you know? So whatever. So, I think a part of this journey maybe is fighting to take off the mask, you know? Which is what we're trying to do now. Like, I don't want to like admit this stuff. Like, it is very, very humbling to struggle with depression, anxiety, being overwhelmed, like having to go on retreats. Like, you know, I totally wish, like, I think that was the most heartbreaking thing for me this year is I was like, wow, my capacity is not what I think it is. Like, I want to do more and I can't, you know? And like, that's hard, you know, where, whatever. And so, but it's good because I'm learning to be surrendered to God and trust God in the things that I want to do. But it's like, God is going to do them, you know, if it's his will, but it doesn't mean like I have to do everything. So I'm learning to live within my capacity and, and that's like being human, you know? But back to what I was saying before. How do you think all of us can become the people that help other people that are dealing with mental health struggles? Because I feel like there's the side of it of like, okay, what do you do when you're struggling? And that's tell somebody, right? But then how, on the other side, how can we receive those people well, you know? Yeah. Or how can we grow into that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I don't have all the answers. Yeah. You know? But I can just say what was helpful for me was having someone that listened and that didn't judge me. Yeah. You know, I think that's big. Yeah. Like, you're not like looking at me any differently because of this, you know, but like, and you know that this is not me. Like, you know, this is something like, so I think that was something that was helpful. Like feeling like I wasn't crazy. So I think that kind of goes with like the non-judgment. Like, I felt like the person that listened wasn't making me feel like, oh, you're being ridiculous and da 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 da, like, because that would have completely shut me out, you know.
Yeah.
And almost like what you were saying about your conversation with your dad of like that, like there was no remarks of that, you know, those type of things. I felt like, yeah, it makes sense, like, you know, like, so that was great, because there was one person I was really afraid to tell, and it actually ended up being amazing. And so I was like, yeah, this is what is helpful for me. And also checking in, you know, like after telling, or, you know, after someone has told you, like following up, hey, how are you feeling today? How are, you know, how's your state of mind? Or, you know, like what's going on right now? Like being invested, especially, I think there's also like maybe levels to the investment, because I'm like, if someone has literally just told you they're thinking about killing themselves, I'm like, you need to be like, be there with them, like, you know. But yeah, I think like I said, someone checking in was helpful.
Yeah.
And even like in my case, like when I was living at home, like my mom literally like, did you go to the doctor? Da, 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 da. Like being very like intentional about this is serious.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, yeah.
So like hearing those things was also really good. And I also, like I said, I always had like the light at the end of the tunnel type of mindset. So I don't know, just like this idea of like, wow, I can go back to living life the way that I enjoyed at first, you know? So I feel like even though it is like helpful to have that person, I think if there's any way in the thick of it that you can have affirmations for yourself, you know, writing post-its, things to kind of like remind you that you're not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
That is also helpful, you know. Oh, also on my phone I made a like album with like all my favorite moments with my favorite people and family and friends of like, and I labeled it like when you're feeling down. I would like just go through that and just kind of like be reminded of like what's here that's beautiful, that's worth living for. And that was helpful, you know. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I would say like for me it was, I had to constantly just push myself to, even if I didn't feel like being around someone, just be around someone and just be with them.
Yeah,
yeah. And it was mostly the people that knew what was going on, so they weren't like, I never felt like pressured to give more than what I really could, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that if that answered anything about the person.
Yeah. Yeah, I think listening is an art, and carrying people's stories well is just like a needed skill. And again, I think there's a lot of like empathy and grace for people that don't know how to do it. But I don't know, like I don't know. I just feel like if people want to get good at it, they need to ask their friends if they are good at it and get feedback. Yeah, because you can also tell when people don't want to be in a situation with you. Like you can feel that, like you can feel it if people want to wrap the conversation up earlier. They're like, okay, like that's great. You know, like you can feel it. So it makes you not feel safe with them. And it's like, okay, then I'm not going to share a lot. Like I start off sharing a little bit. And if I feel like my story has landed with this person and they care, like sincerely, then I share more. Yeah. But if not, I'm done. I'm like, okay, I'll find somebody that really cares. Yeah. And so I think it is a heart thing where we have to want to hear people's stories and be a safe place for them. And that takes time, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say another I don't want to say a not to do, but one thing that was kind of hard for me during was you know, I was sharing with someone, and it was very much in passing, they were asking how are you doing, you know, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna just be honest, because sometimes you could just be like, yeah, I'm fine, but I was like, yeah, I just been kind of struggling with, you know, this or that or whatever I was saying, and immediately it was like, oh, well, you shouldn't be feeling like that, we're called to this and this, you know, and these are all things that I know.
Yeah.
These are all things that I know. And it wasn't helpful because it kind of made it feel like, oh, 1, 2, 3 step easy, you're good, you're
cured.
Fixed. Yeah, like cured. Because that's the case, I would have been doing it, and I was trying to do it, you know, and it wasn't working like that.
It's like, rejoice in the Lord.
Right.
Okay.
And I guess they were saying it because it worked for them. So I would also say that, like, if someone is going to like be there with someone that is experiencing it, and maybe you yourself have also, you know, had your own struggles with your mental health, like what worked for you may not work for them. You know, I think you can definitely. I would also try to like fill it out, like, you know, like kind of what you were saying, even like when you fill it out of how you're sharing with someone, it's kind of like, and hopefully you would know this person a bit to know like, hey, this is not helpful to share with this person at the time. But if you don't, I would just kind of like ask questions to see kind of what it is that they need, what is helpful for them. I would encourage them with scripture for sure. You know, I'm not saying like, don't try to like, you know, bring God into it, but I think it's, the way that it was brought to me, it just kind of felt like it was like diminishing what I was feeling. And it kind of made me feel like, yeah, I should just like get over this, like, what, you know.
Or when people say, oh yeah, like me too. It's like, well,
I know.
yay.
I know.
All right, now let's talk about you. Forget what I was saying. Whatever. No, that's real.
But you know what? I also wonder if sometimes people do that just out of like, I can relate to you. No,
for sure. Like, I know people are trying.
You're not alone.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm even thinking, like, just this past weekend I did that. Like, I had a friend that was just kind of, like, feeling a little down, whatever. And she was like, I'm not really going to dress up. Like, da-da-da-da. I'm like, girl, me too. It's fine. Like, I'm there with you. Like, you know. That was just a text. So it was very simple. Like, and we talk more later, you know. But, like... For me, there's kind of like a, wow, I feel like I have community, you know, in a really weird way. Like, I'm not the only one. Like, when I tell you, Gabby, like, this is probably beyond here or not. Maybe it's just bad
when people, like, say me too and then they start talking about themselves. Maybe that's
okay. Yeah, okay. Maybe. Potentially, right? Where it's like, it shifts the conversation to them now. Yeah.
Another thing that I find is helpful for me, I'm all about the tools. Like, I want every tool possible. Like, I'm like, love resources. But... helpful for me and what I do for other people is there's this list of words. It's called the needs inventory. Love it. And it's just like...
you put me onto that.
Yeah. I'm like, I love it. There's like categories of different things. And it's like, you can choose what you need. Because a lot of people need something in those moments and they don't have vocabulary for
really
it.
Good.
You know, like they don't know how to like communicate what they actually need. So sometimes sometimes I'm in moments, me and my sister... have this thing with us where like I'll say something, like I say I'm going through something or whatever, and she's like, okay, do you need advice? Do you just need me to listen? Do you need to be affirmed? Like we have like 4 things. I don't even remember them. And then I choose, and then she does that, you know, like,
I love that.
But if I just need her to listen, but she's out here spitting advice, it's like, what in the world? Shut up, you know?
Right. That's not what I needed right now.
Right. Or say like, she's like affirming me, like, you're great, Gabby, and I needed advice, like it's like, no, be quiet, like tell me what I should do, you know. So I think and sometimes we just need people to sit, you know, and or we need to go on an adventure, you know, like be outside and that person can do that with us, you know. So I can like send a link for that, like whatever in our, I don't know, on the YouTube, but yeah, I think we need to learn how to be there for people. And when you're going through something, like, build up the courage to tell people, you know? And I think for me, when I'm in a good place, like good, whatever, because all of these things are who we are. But when I'm in a place where it's not as much of a struggle, these are the times that I pray for the times that I'm in the struggle, you know? Like, it's like, man, God, I pray that I have the courage to be honest with someone when I'm going through something. God, I pray that I am truthful, that I'm transparent, that I'm vulnerable with the people in my life. So just and building that, I guess, practice up where I'm like constantly open in my discipling groups, you know. I'm constantly telling people what's going on in my life so that when those moments come, people can tell that something's off, you know. And hopefully I have the courage because of my past prayers to like to tell people what's going on, you know. So I feel like we've only cracked the surface of this topic.
We really have. If there's anyone watching that's going through something, please feel free to reach out to our Instagram page, The Open Room Podcast. Gabby and I, we both look at it. We love to help in any way that we can.
Or even just pray, you know?
Or even just pray. Like, it's a struggle out here.
Yeah.
You know, like I wish that I could like be like, I don't know, jolly about it. Like I do think that like when you're out of that period, it feels great. You feel like you can breathe again. But I know for a fact there's just going to be many troubles in life, right? Like we know that, like Jesus says that, and like I think it's more so of like how do we respond in these moments, you know? Like I don't want this to overcome me, you know? Like I don't want this to take over, and so I hope that that's your encouragement of like whatever it is that you're going through, like you can overcome this and you can be close to God through this. So yeah,
we'll definitely be praying, and even if you do not have community, like we'll be praying that you do have community, like that God will give you that. And I know for me, when I was in Alabama, I had to outsource community to Atlanta, and you know those and Boston. Like I had people in different states that supported me and helped me through things. So I think community is a big part of this, and empathetic people. So I'm praying for more Christians that are empathetic and understanding about this, and that we can support each other through our life. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Come on, Christians. We don't got it all together, okay?
Yeah.
Let's be there for one another.
Truly. Come on, let's do it.
Please.
Yes.
But yeah, this is great. I'm glad that we got to be vulnerable for a little bit, you know.
Scary.
Get a little teary-eyed on you guys.
Yeah.
But Gabby had a few teary moments. It's funny because I literally saw you as you were like trying to like hold it back. The second one, you're like, anyway. So I'm like, I see it. Just drop.
Oh, no. I mean, like I'm down to cry, like if we're in person, but it's kind of like then I gotta get up, find tissues. It's just not worth it, you know.
You could have used your sweat. Ew.
You know.
But yeah,
no, you can't dab.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, we're grateful, and hopefully this was helpful for you. Praying that you guys have conversations with people in your life, in your community. I mean, I've so many resources that I could say, but maybe we'll just link it in the YouTube.
Yeah, link it in the YouTube.
So, but yeah, we love you guys, and thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.